Good morning, everyone. Once again, we are here with history and civics classes, and today's topic we are going to discuss that is Indian National Congress and its precursors. So, students, at least 2 mark question is confirmed from this topic, in which they are asking many times aims and objectives of Indian National Congress, and sometimes they are asking that who headed the particular session of Congress, especially. And precursors of Indian National Congress means which were the institution before Indian National Congress working in India for uniting that people of India. So we are going to discuss today. I hope that you have completed your homework till chapter number 1 and civics part also you have completed. So today we are going to finish this chapter also, and tomorrow onwards you have to complete the question answer from chapter number 2. So let us start chapter number 2. The topic on page number 28, precursors of Indian National Congress. First we are going for precursors. What is meant by precursors? Means which were there before Indian National Congress, or the institutional organization which were working for unity or growth of nationalism in India before Indian National Congress we are going to discuss today. So first organization we are going to discuss that was Indian National East India Association. Before going on East India Association, I would like to tell something that we were having many more organizations like Landholder Society in Kolkata. It was established in 1838. We were having Bengal British India Society, British Indian Association, East Indian Association, Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, London Indian Society, Indian Association, and these many associations were there. So we cannot describe all these organizations. We have taken the important one, and East India Association was the first organization which was established by, you are watching that picture, grand old man of India, respected Dadabhai Naoroji, and he established this organization in 1866 in London, and he organized this association because he want that all that Indians which were living abroad should have that information, and British citizens and members of parliament also should know about that pathetic conditions of Indian in India. So the grand old man of India was of the opinion that British were basically just and good, and if they will come to know about affairs related to India, then they can also solve the problem of Indians, and problems of Indian may be resolved. So this organization was this organization was established to inform Britishers about the Indian problems, and to gather Indians in London, and to aware British government about the Indians problem, and they will solve the problems of Indians. So this was the organization. It was founded by Dadabhai Naoroji. So I hope you understood this one. So next slide we can move. So the next association you are watching here, the Indian Association. It was also very important organization. It was established by S.N. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee. You are watching the photo with that one. So it was established in 1876, and this organization was the association which had lawyers, professionals, and educated middle class, and they were having this organization for definite objectives. So why they have established the organization? Let us go through. Four important points are there. So first one, that creation of a strong body of public opinion. Means as I told that in this organization we were having the lawyers, we were having the professionals, we were having the middle class, as well as we were having that journal members also. So all these persons were having a mass and which can have the opinion. So creation of a strong body of public opinion, so that all can come together and they can keep their opinion in a strong way in front of the British government. So second one, that integration of Indian people on basis of common political interest. So one more thing, that S.N. Banerjee thought that whose political interests are same or similar, they can come together on one platform by this organization, and they can have their opinion against the British government. They can criticize the government through this association, and they can expect for better response from British government towards Indian. So third point, that promotion of friendly relations between Hindus and Muslims. So we know well already that after that first war of independence, that Britishers were against Muslims. So here that need of the time was there that Hindu and Muslim may come together and they can fight together with the Britishers, so they can create an approach against that Britishers, or strongly they can condemn, or strongly they can think about the betterment of Indians from the British side. So last one, that mass participation in public movement. So this organization was working for mass participation. Mass participation means more and more people should participate, and that's why that middle class people were also made the member of this association. So in this way we can say so that this organization was most important one after East India Association. So what was the achievement? If we are discussing about the achievement of this organization, so mainly two things we can say, so that they condemn that vernacular press act, which we have discussed already, and another one, that they have also condemned that age limit of Indian civil services examination, which was reduced from 21 to 19 years. So they condemn, but that success could not be attained by this association. Uh, Even then we can say so that this association was successful, because first time they raised the voice against that discrimination, against that British policies. Either that Britishers have listened or not listened, they made the people politically aware about their rights. So this was a great organization before the Indian National Congress, or we can say so that this organization provide the base to the Indian National Congress in India. So next one we are going to discuss Indian National Conference. So this was also established by S.N. Banerjee or Surendranath Banerjee. So this organization was established in 1883, and it was especially there in Bengal, and this conference was there, Indian National Conference. It was for, most of the youths of Bengal, and mainly they were having that educated one or students, and they come and unite together for their rights and for their strong opinion against or for the welfare for the Indians or against the British government. So this Indian National Conference was merged in Indian National Congress in 1886. So we can say so that Indian National Conference and Indian National Congress both were having the same motive or same aims and objectives. So that's why that Indian National Conference merged in Indian National Congress in 1886. So we are going to discuss about now important organization which was there, Indian National Congress. So as you are watching in that photo, Mr. A.O. Hume, Allen Octavian Hume, he was the founder of this Indian National Congress. He was a retired bureaucrat, and he thought so that Indians need a strong organization which can keep their matters in front of the British government. So Indian leaders like S.N. Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji, Firoz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tayyab and Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade, these were also working for All India Political Organization. But credit goes to Allen Octavian Hume, who was a civil servant, a retired civil servant, and basically this organization was being made for betterment of Indians and to keep their matters in front of the British government. So we can discuss this thing afterwards, that what happened and how how the reaction of British government was there against Indian National Congress. But first we can say so that why INC or Indian National Congress was established, or aims and objectives of Indian National Congress. So let us go through. These are 4 important points. First one, to promote friendly relations between that nationalist political workers from different part of the country. So first motive was there, that from all over the India who are willing to work in unity, who are willing to be integrated, who are willing to keep their views against that British government, or who are willing to work for the welfare of Indians, they can be united by this organization. Second one, that to develop that develop and consolidate the feeling of national unity, irrespective of caste, religion, and province. So we can say so that Britishers has divided India by divide and rule policy, but Indian National Congress was trying to unite Indians with not with respect of religion, province, caste, or creed. Means all over India, they have a campaign to link people to people, person to person, without asking their caste, creed, color, or religion. So we can say so this was the main motive was there to unite all the Indians, not especially for particular caste, not especially for particular creed, not especially for particular region. So third one, formulate the popular demands and present them before the government. So after uniting the people, or after getting that strength of the people, that main motive was there to keep the demands in front of the government and to ask them to think about the welfare of Indians. So last motive was there to train and organize the people opinion in the country. So we know well that Indians were not having political education, means they were not aware about their political rights. So Indian National Congress was having the main motive to aware Indians about their political rights and to uh, train them to organize this organization in such a way that people can keep their opinion publicly against the government or for the welfare of Indians. So these were the main aims and objectives of Indian National Congress. So let's go for important sessions of Indian National Congress. So if we are discussing about important sessions, so first session was very important, which was led by W.C. Banerjee, Vyomkesh Chand Banerjee. So we can say that this session was very important because it was the first session of Indian National Congress, in which 72 delegates from all part of India, including that eminent persons like Dadabhai Naoroji, Firoz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tayyabji, G. Subramanya Iyer, and Ananda Charlu, Anji Chandravarkar, and Justice Ranade. These were persons who participated in this session. And one more important personality was there, Lord Dufferin. He was also very happy by organization of this by forming this organization, but he was willing to use this Indian National Congress as a tool in the hand of Britishers. So previously that parties were given by Lord Dufferin to members of or delegation or officers of this Indian National Congress, but afterwards, whenever that Congress didn't compromise with that demand or with that welfare of Indians, then that Indian National Congress and the British government was having that very inverse relationship, and they were not favoring to each other. So we'll discuss this thing in the next chapter. Now we are going to discuss about important sessions, which were the important sessions of Congress. So we are having 23rd session which was there in Surat, and that is known for Surat split. And after this 26th session in Kolkata, in this the national anthem Jan Gan Man was sung by first time. So 1911 Jan Gan Man was sung first time in the Congress session. And 31st session which was there 1916, which is known for Hindu Muslim unity, Lucknow Pact was there. And next one, 39th is there Belgaum, that Mahatma Gandhi presides over that session. And 44th session which was in Lahore in 1929, in which Purna Swaraj was declared by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And another one, 1938, Subhash Chandra Bose was elected as that president, Haripura session. So these sessions are important one. So that's all for this chapter. I hope you understood the chapter. If you are having any doubt, any question, any query, you can write in comment section. I will give the solution to you. So now I am going through the question answers. So let us go through. Short answers are there. 17 short answers are there. You can complete at least 15 answers in your copy. Which is repeated, you can leave. And which is not coming to you, you can consent to me. I can give you the answer of proper particular question. Now I am going to structured question. So this page I am here uploading here. One student consent to me about the structured question of chapter number 1. So this page is there for you. You can go through this page. So question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, and then question number 4 or picture study is there. So this was that structured question of previous chapter, chapter number 1. So now I am going for next chapter or this chapter question answers. In this first part of the structured question is not given, that I am telling you. First part is socio-religious reform movements, and B part is mentioned already here, repressive colonial policies, and C part is there, the press. So first part of this question you can mention socio-religious reform movements. So you have to explain this growth of nationalism with respect to the particular context. And first one is socio-religious reforms, second one is repressive colonial policy, and third one is the press. And rest of the questions are complete here. So these questions you can complete. Out of these 3 you can complete any 2. Format already I have told to you, 3, 3, 4. So for 3 questions 4 headings or 4 points, and for 4 mark question 5 headings or 5 points at least you have to mention in your copy. So this was that chapter for today. If you are having any doubt or query, then you can consent to me in the comment section. I will answer the question as much as possible. I can help to you. So stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned. Till then, have a nice day.